Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I hope you all are having a wonderful day. Today I thought it'd be fun to do a bit of a plant update because I read your comments and a lot of you ask about plant updates, and so I thought it'd be really fun to sit down and talk to you all about how my plants are doing and share with you how the plants that I've been propagating, how they've grown. And so as you can see, there's a lot of plants behind me, so there's a lot to go through, and I say we get started and talk about how my plants are doing. First, we're going to start with this gorgeous vine, which I've talked about before. This is the vine that I rescued from the trash that someone had thrown out, and it was super dead when I found it. It had no leaves, basically, that were green. They were all yellow or brown, and it looked really sad, and it is so long. Oh my goodness. I need to put it somewhere else because it's been sitting on the shelf. I put my plants next to the window so that they can get a lot of sunlight. But this shelf is no longer tall enough and it drags on the ground. So I need to find another place for this gorgeous vine. But yeah, I love this vine. It is so big. Okay, let's talk about my two asparagus ferns. So this is Matcha, which you'll have seen, and Matcha's looking a little bit rough. I've had to trim Matcha a lot, but it's got new growth, which is good. But my plants don't really like the cold weather. And this right here is Latte, the bigger one of the two asparagus ferns that I have. And as you can see, it is pretty long, pretty big, but also looking a bit rough. I've had to trim this one quite a bit because its fronds like to get brown. I'm not really sure why. I think it's probably due to humidity, but I mean, I live in Seattle. It's super humid all the time, and I have a humidity monitor thing that tells me how humid it is where my plants are, and it's always quite humid, so I'm not really sure why they turn brown. So if anyone has any tips, let me know, because I keep having to trim off a lot of these branches, but it's doing well so far, and hopefully it can stay this way throughout the fall and winter. Those asparagus ferns really like to shed, so I'm having to get all the leaves off me. Next, we're going to talk about this plant, which is my alocasia, and this is also called an African mask, I think. So beautiful. It has a little leaf down here. Okay, I'm back. Had a little bit of a lighting malfunction, but I'm back with this plant, and as I was saying, or as I was going to say, is that it bloomed, and a lot of indoor plants that sometimes bloom don't tend to bloom when they're kept indoors. They tend to bloom if they're outdoors, but it did bloom. It had a white flower that came out of it, and then a bunch of orange seeds that it produced. So that was pretty cool to have my plant bloom. But I will say I'm not much of a flower person. I prefer green plants over flowering plants. I will say I love my plants and I love filming these plant updates, but they are tough. There are so many plants behind me and I keep having to turn around and go through this jungle of plants just to get the one that I'm trying to talk about. This right here is my maidenhair fern. It is incredibly heavy. The pot that it's in is massive and heavy, and it's got a lot of fronds at the bottom that are starting to unroll. This is a plant that is really sensitive and hard to take care of. So for all of you out there that are looking for plants to have that are low maintenance, this is not for you. This is a really high maintenance plant. I constantly am trimming it, making sure that there's enough mist on it, that it's well hydrated, etc. So I recently gave it a trim, a little haircut, and so that's why it's looking a little bit less bushy than normal, but I think that's a good thing, and hopefully it can survive through the winter and the cold. But yeah, this is how my maidenhair is doing. Super big, super heavy. Whew. Now back here is my bird of paradise. I'll show you one of its big leaves right here. This is one of its newer leaves, which is why it's super glossy still. It is currently growing two new leaves. One really big one here, and then a little small one over here. It is super lush and super tall. When I first got it, it was only about maybe 3 feet tall. Now it's almost 5 feet tall, which is insane. It's grown so many leaves, and I love that my bird of paradise is doing well, especially given that we're in Seattle, and birds of paradise are not necessarily fit for Seattle weather. And so I make sure that I give it a lot of sunlight, and it has been so amazing and given me these gorgeous leaves that are so big and beautiful. Okay, up next we have this vine, and this is a vine that I rescued that was basically dead and had one tiny little root that was the only life source it had. And I made sure to take care of it and nurture it, and look at this beauty. It is gorgeous. It has grown so much. It went from having like no leaves and being tiny and basically dead to being super lush, and I even propagated it. So let me show you its little babies. So from this parent vine came this right here, which is barely starting to grow, but it's doing well. I waited until its roots got long enough to be able to put in soil, and all I have to do now is wait for it to grow long, and I have a lot of hope for this plant. I think it's going to do really well, and I love that I got this plant that was basically dead and nurtured it, and then I was able to get another plant out of it basically that will grow and hopefully be as healthy as the parent plant. This right here is my silver philodendron, and I made an upload where I talked about propagating this plant. So this is the parent plant, and of this plant came so many plants. So I have this one, I have this one, there's this one, and this one, and this one. So many. And lastly, this one, which is super long. So yeah, I have a ton of silver philodendron. I love it. This plant is so easy to take care of, and I love to give it away as a gift to my friends. And so if you're looking for an easy to take care of vine, I highly recommend the silver philodendron. They are wonderful. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those right in front of me. Insane. All right, so next we're going to talk about my praying plant, which has grown so many leaves. And as you can see, this is a brand new leaf here. This is a new leaf that is uncurling. And this is what the plants or the leaves look like when they're barely starting to grow. They basically are curled up, and then they slowly uncurl as they grow. But as you can see, this has grown quite a lot. It is really long, and I love this plant. I've mentioned before that praying plants, they move, and so when it's nighttime, the leaves like to go up and kind of close, and then when it's daytime, they open up. So it's really cool to see this plant move around, especially now that it has so many leaves, and then to see all the leaves move around. It's amazing. I mean, plants are alive, but this one has motion to it, which is really cool. And I love seeing how many new leaves it has. It's got one right there that's growing. It's got one right there that's growing. Oh, it's got so many new leaves. And this plant also blooms. It has little, oh, hey, what is this? Matcha? Matcha? Stop it. This plant blooms and has, I think they're whitish purpley flowers that are really small. It doesn't have any right now, but when it does bloom, it does get little flowers. And as I mentioned before, I don't necessarily love flowering plants, so I'm much happier when they're all like this, green and lush. But it's kind of cool that it flowers, yeah, and that it's an indoor plant, so it must be really happy if it's gonna flower. Okay, let's talk succulents and cacti. So right here is a little cactus that I have. What I like about cacti is that you know you're doing a good job if it hasn't changed color or size or shape much. This little cacti looks the exact same as the last time that I showed it to you all, and so that is a good sign. It means that it's getting enough sunlight. The colors stayed the same. It's still super spiky. It hasn't deflated on itself, which means that it's getting enough water but not overwatered. So yep, that's a little cacti that I have. This one, on the other hand, has changed a little bit. I don't know why, but it's growing like an extra inch at the top that's thinner, and I'm not sure why. It still has maintained its color, which is a good sign, but the back also looks, there's a lot of, I don't know, it looks a little patchy, like there's white tan stuff going on it. So if you know anything about this type of succulent, then please let me know, because I want to make sure that it's healthy. It looks okay to me, but it's definitely growing a bit strange. This right here is my little black succulent, which is super cute. And this one is hard to take care of because we don't get sunlight or like direct good sunlight for about 9 months out of the year because it's usually rainy and cloudy. But I maintain it outdoors, and for the most part it's still okay and super cute. I'll do a little close-up of it. And as you all know by now, I'm obsessed with Lush, and it is in a little Lush container which I reused as a plant pot. Now back to the topic of propagating. I have a succulent that is outside on my balcony right now, and it's looking a little bit small, but I think it's mainly because it's getting cold now and, you know, it's not getting enough sunlight, but it still has vibrant tips, little pink tips at the end, so it's getting enough sunlight. But I propagated that plant, and I have all these little offsprings that, as you can see, are really tall, which is generally a sign that they're not getting enough sunlight. And so I think I need to start putting these outdoors because they've been indoors for now, so that I can really take care of them, mist them often, that kind of thing. But I think they're ready to go outside, and hopefully they will grow the way succulents are meant to grow. But I'll give you a little close-up of these little propagated succulents. Okay, we're almost done. Now these next two were gifts. So this right here, I was told, are a couple of air plants, and they are in this almost fishbowl container. And so there are several air plants here. There's 3 air plants. There's also a vine, which I'm not sure if that's an air plant or not, but these 3 main plants are really long and they have roots that you can see, and I've been told to mist them once a week or something like that. Make sure that they're fairly moist. And the vine that is growing on the outside is really pretty. It's got little tiny leaves that look like hearts, and they're green, and the edges are sort of pinkish. So I'll give you all a bit of a close-up so you can see. And then the last plant, or plants that I really love, are in this terrarium, which was also a gift. This is a massive jar. It's got rocks, like little pebbles at the bottom, soil, and then it's got moss on the inside, which I am obsessed with moss. I love moss so much. I also collected some lichen, which I really love as well, and I put that in there. And then there was originally another little plant in here, but I didn't know how to take care of it and it ended up dying, and I think it didn't root well. So I was gifted that, but I decided to replace that little plant with a silver philodendron, which is growing really happily in there, and it's rooted a lot and it's grown new leaves. So it was a baby little vine before, and now it's grown quite a bit. I can't wait for it to grow more. And I generally mist it maybe once a week or something like that. And yeah, the moss looks happy, the vine looks happy, and I really like it. I love terrariums, and I'm getting more and more into them. So I would love to one day have like a huge terrarium full of different types of moss. That'd be so cool. I'm realizing I forgot one more plant. This is satin pothos, another plant that I saved from dying, and I have the parent plant out on the balcony right now. And this is the propagated plant, and so as you can see, it's grown a lot and it rooted really beautifully. And so yeah, this is what it looks like now, and I can't wait for it to grow even more. That was such a long plant update, but that is all that I have for y'all today. As I mentioned, there are a couple plants that I have outside on the balcony. I have my little baby's tears, the ground cover outside, and it's growing really beautifully. I have a couple of succulents out there, a couple of vines, but it's a lot, you know, and I don't want this upload to be super long, so I wanted to share with you all a couple of highlights and finally talk to y'all about the plants that I've been propagating and how they're doing, because y'all have been asking. So there you go, that's an update. I hope that y'all like this. I would love to know if there's a certain plant that I shared with y'all that you're interested in knowing more about. I would love to know what kind of plants you all like, and if you're not subscribed already, I would love for y'all to subscribe. And if you like watching me talk about my plants, then please go ahead and like this. And again, as I said, I would love for you to subscribe and join this community. It means so much to me. We have over 500 subscribers now, which is amazing. I love each and every one of you. I'm so thankful for your support, and I absolutely love YouTube so much. I love talking to you all, and y'all are wonderful. I hope that you'll have a wonderful rest of your day, and I'll see you in my next upload. Bye!